Hey everybody, this is Mark from We Talk Art. Today we're going to do a little craft project. It'll be a short little video, be kind of fun. I'm way into art journals. I do quite a few of them, but it's always fun to make one kind of personalized, look a little unique and have some fun with it. So we're going to personalize this art journal, or kind of customize it, we'll say. So let's roll the intro and get into it. As I said, we're going to take this art journal and we're going to kind of make it somewhat unique, so it's not quite as generic. Although this is a nice art journal. It's by Global Arts. It's a handbook. This is 140-pound watercolor paper with a kind of a linen cover. I kind of learned this trick from artists that work for Global Arts, so it's fitting that we're using their book. So what we're going to do, I have this tray right here. I'm going to put a couple chopsticks in it that it's going to hold it off. I'm going to take this cover off so that it's all set. And then I'm going to put the band back on. And what we're going to do is we're going to set this journal into this little tray here. And then we're going to put coffee into it. And what coffee's going to do is it's going to stain it. It's going to stain the edges of the paper, but it's going to intrude into the paper because we're going to leave it overnight. And then I'm going to put some coffee grounds on top of this. So I'm hoping that it will kind of create an irregular stain in the linen cover. So let's see how this goes. So I made a really strong batch of coffee here. And so I'm going to pour this in. Hopefully I can do this without making too much of a mess. Now the book is eventually going to want to float. And so I have a weight that we're going to put on top of it. Hopefully I have enough coffee here to make this work. And I did it hot. I don't know if that's necessary. It's probably not, but I thought the heat of it would cause it to kind of stain more. Okay, that's as much as I think we need there. And then I am going to take these guys here and put this. Well, first what I'm going to do. Okay, so we have it full. And I brought some coffee grounds here from an old pot that I did. And I'm just going to throw those on the top to make it even more chance of a cool, interesting stain. See if I overdo this. I sometimes do that. I'm going to put a couple chopsticks here and here. And I'm going to push this down. And then I'm going to set my weight on it, which is going to be we'll get these going out of here so it doesn't do it. And then, I just put the right amount on there. And then I put my weight on there. So anyway, we're going to let this sit overnight and we'll see what we get in the morning. While we were waiting for our art journal to stain, I did want to mention that you can use a lot of household and natural items to stain surfaces and things for art purposes. A while back, I got a bunch of old tea bags from the house that we'd been saving after using, and then I put them on this paper, and then I sprayed it with water and allowed that to soak in. I think I also ended up splashing it a little bit with some tea. It's a surface that I intend to do something with someday. Haven't yet, but it's really cool. So staining things with natural items is kind of a fun way to set a background for other kinds of art. Okay, we're back from the first major time warp of this video. I put the sketchbook art journal into the coffee last night around 6 p.m. and it is now near noon the next day, so well past 12 hours. Which brings up a point. When I was told about this, I was just told it was possible. It wasn't given like any kind of instructions, so I kind of made it up. I did it once before a long time ago, so it worked. So I'm hoping it works again. This is a slightly different book, so we'll see how it goes. So what I'm going to do now is take it out of the coffee. It's going to be covered in coffee grounds and stuff. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to set it over here on a makeshift drying rack and let it dry till it's no longer wet. You know, it still could be damp. And then we're going to kind of set it up for another drying session. by opening it up. But we'll also see what happened inside, because that's kind of the fun of this, is what happens inside. The other thing I was going to experiment with, since I'm doing it, is my wife collects rusty bits for art that she does, and I'm going to set a bunch of that rusty artsy bits on top of this, and then I'm going to just spritz it with a little bit of water and see if that also adds some interesting stain kind of things to it. So we'll get with it. Get this out of the way first. I'll just set it over there, and then we're going to pull the book out and try to get most of this coffee off. Oh yeah, it is pretty stained. And then, like I said, I'm just going to throw some funky little rusty bits on this thing. Bits and bobs. I have no idea if this is going to work, but it's part of art. Doing stuff new and interesting and seeing what ends up transpiring as a result of it. Okay, I won't need a tetanus shot after this. Okay, I guess that's all the rusty bits that I'm going to get out of this. Oh, well, that's kind of an interesting shape too, so we'll set that over there. Okay, so then, and now I'm just going to spritz it with some water to get it some extra little rusty going. And again, we're going to let it sit for a while longer. It is winter here in Nevada, dry air, but cold. So this might take a while. It would be different in different environments. I may hit it with a heat gun or a hair dryer a little bit to move it along. But we're just going to see how this goes. My goal again is to get it so it's not wet anymore, that it may still be damp. And then I'm going to set it up in a different way and kind of flare it out and let it dry, because I think clothes like this, it could take days. It might even mold before it actually dries. So anyway, the goal is the reason I'm letting it sit and dry, at least from being wet, is I don't want opening the pages to cause more of the coffee to come into the pages than necessary. The goal, if this happens right, it's really fun that the coffee will intrude on the pages on the edge, making these really interesting shapes, which will be visually interesting and might even be artistically interesting to actually draw or paint on those pages. So I'm going to turn you off again, and then we'll come back to this in a little while. Okay, we're back from our second time warp, third day, and it's kind of dry to the touch, although still a little damp. I did one thing while you were gone. I ended up deciding to spritz this with my this formula that I had found a while back for making metals rust really well, especially steel. Formula is 1 part salt water, 1 part white vinegar, and 1 part hydrogen peroxide. And so if you spray that, and I'll show you an example of it happening in time lapse right now, but I thought that would get this going a little bit more. I don't think it did exactly what I wanted, which was to kind of maybe imprint, but it did add some additional color to the cover. So anyway, we're going to disassemble this thing and see where we're at. One thing that comes in handy is I'm always a fan of not throwing away old toothbrushes, and we're going to use that to get some of this off. But that's what we're doing now. So keep that. And then we're going to get as much of this, see, it has a lot of dried coffee on it right now, and I'll just use the brush to kind of do that. Now it's still moist, and one of the reasons that I didn't let it completely dry is it could take a really long time to dry. So after we kind of open it up and look at it, I'm going to fan it out and leave it again probably for a day or more, so that it will completely dry. And there'll probably be coffee on the inside of it too. It makes a bit of a mess, but I hope you find that this is kind of a cool thing. Okay, so I'll probably go on for a while, getting that coffee off. Nice smell. Now this cover, you could do some different things with this cover. It did end up getting a little bit of color, and you can see the things, but not great impressions, but it still made a nice abstract kind of thing and added some more color to the cover. These covers like this, you could probably just leave that, but you could also do a variety of other things. You could use inks on these, you could put acrylic paint or paint markers on it. Anything that's liquid like ink or watercolor probably won't leave a really sharp impression. The raw linen is just gonna kind of flow within that. So that could be fun to add more abstraction to this. But if you want to actually add an image or letters or something, my recommendation probably would be a paint marker. The other thing is you may or may not want to then seal this. If you're going to seal it, you may put tape around the paper so you don't glue the pages together or anything like that. Just some ideas. I did want to say that the person who told me how to do this basically just told me that you could. Didn't give me any real instructions on it. It's like, throw it in some coffee. It's really cool. And as I showed you before, I did one book that way and it came out. So this is kind of the second try at this. So anyway, we're gonna open this bad dog up. And the cool thing about this, if it works, and it looks like it has, is the coffee will intrude on various pages, and not all of them, but you'll get some intrusions on the pages, which will end up being kind of interesting and fun as you go through and do your work within it, whatever you choose to do. And that coffee, that's one reason that, oh, that really got it there. So that coffee will end up drying more. And so what my recommendation at this point is I'm gonna kind of set it on its edge and flare out the pages so that it will continue to dry for the next day or so. And that's pretty much it. I'll do one final wrap up at the end to show you the final results, but that's basically what we were doing. Okay, so this is my art journal with character. So the coffee and the metal work stain the front, and we have some pattern from the grid on the back. And then if you flip through the different pages, you can see the coffee's kind of intruded in different ways into the pages, and the edge has this really nice tone to it, the coffee tone. This book is still just slightly moist, and I'm gonna put it out and let it dry for a couple days. But it's all set to be able to do some work in. It's this Global Arts Handbook is a watercolor paper. It's not a cotton watercolor paper, so just cellulose. But it's got two textures, a slightly cold press, and should be kind of fun to use as a travel journal or around the house journal or something like that. I think at this point it's too nice to be used as a working sketchbook. But that's what I got. If you have any questions or comments or have any other ways that you customize a journal to get it kind of in your style, leave it in the comments below. Share with the rest of the audience. And while you're down there, if you consider giving us a like, and if you're liking what we're showing, then give us a subscribe. It's free to you, really helpful for us. Now, go make some art.